아가씨.
아저씨 이게 뭐야? Hello everybody, Agashi here. So today I'm going to be doing another K-drama review. This drama just came out and I was actually able to sit down and watch the first 2 episodes of it. So I will be recapping the first 2 episodes with you guys. So this drama is called Search WWW. And we'll jump into characters and then the synopsis and the recap of the first 2 episodes. So we got Im Soo-jung playing Pei Tae-mi, and then we have Lee Da-hae playing Chang Hyung, and then we have Jung Hae-jin, I think Jung Hae-jin, as Song Kang-kyung, and then we have Jang Ki Yong as Park Morgan, and then Lee Wook as Seo Ji Hwang, and then Ji Sung Hyun as Oh Jin Woo. So the synopsis for this drama is about the conflicts the wins and loses one's experience when working. So it follows a story of a 21st century woman who works not as wife or mom, but they're successful businesswomen without discrimination and stuff like that for them. And so basically, in a way, it's a women power kind of drama way. And then the main lead, Pei Tae-min, she works as a director of a big worldwide portal company, and she is in her late 30s. She's extremely competitive too, and with her competitive and everything like that leads her to success, and she's one of the best and everything. She always uses her method to do right things with her life and everything like that, but she pretty much ends up sacrificing a couple things for her personal life and success and all this stuff like that. And then we get Park Morgan, who is a man in his 20s, and he is a gifted composer. He creates music for video games, and he ends up meeting Taemin at an arcade game, and he falls in love with her because of her competitive spirits. So, a recap on the first 2 episodes. The drama starts us off with our heroine as voiceover, talking about how people's daily life involves the internet and searching for necessities of life, if I said any of that right. And so she gives a speech at a press conference about the company she works for. It's called Unicorn, and their company being the most used server, which like people search. Their company is a search engine, and then she is addressed by an assemblyman. It's so funny, these drama we watch, it's like there's so many assemblymen. It just reminds you of my fellow citizens. But yeah, assemblyman Jo Sung-tae, he asks questions about their company, of how they manipulate keywords, and she gets into a couple exchange words with the assemblyman about it, and like if they fabricate anything of like such as keyword, controlling search words and stuff like that. And like it shows Pei Tae-min going that at Unicorn, the real keywords are ranking in because there's ranking of like most search words and most search stuff. She goes, yes, it's all fabricated. And then we switch, like the scene switches, and we go to like 6 months earlier, and she is working at Unicorn. She goes to a meeting talking about their competitor Borrow, and she states that it's easy for users to switch search engines, so because it costs them nothing, and what's more important now is that they need to get the most search word at Unicorn, so people stay at Unicorn and they don't use Borrow. And so we get her having her little meeting, and then we move on to getting introduced to director Song Kang-kyung, and who gets into a debation argument about their website having some words searched she doesn't want, and she asks them to delete it, citing rules, citing all these ethics and all these stuff like that. And then she ends up meeting with the CEO of the company Unicorn, Na In Kyung, talking about how they end up making each other villains. So basically, this is the whole point of them fabricating keywords, deleting stuff off of their website, and it starts off with these two. And then we find out that Song Kang-kyung, her husband, is Oh Jin-woo, who has been cheating on her. And we also find out the reason she's married to him is the chairwoman of Unicorn is her mother-in-law. So pretty much that's the reason why she does the things she does at Unicorn, is because she's married to the son of the chairwoman there. She finds out her husband's cheating, but she just ignores the fact that her husband's cheating. She catches her husband cheating on her, but she's just kind of like, whatever, you know, here's what your mother needs, take it to her, you know, I got things to do, and continue doing what you gotta do. So with the presidential election and the process of it, you know, one of the information about the candidate pops up about that he was a divorce. He got divorced already, and it became like this huge search keywords for like search engine, and Unicorn had deleted it. And Pae Tae-min gets into another argument with Song Kang-kyung about it, because Song Kang-kyung deleted that, and she said that they shouldn't have such keywords exist in their search engine. And she starts reciting rules again, ethics again, about, you know, whenever like keywords like this popped up, they shouldn't have it and all stuff like that. And like Taemin gets the idea that Ka-kyung is being pressured, and we do get to see her becoming a puppet and a slave to her mother-in-law, and she does everything her mother-in-law tells her to do, and she gets, if she doesn't do it right, her mother-in-law gets upset at her, blames her, and all these sorts of things. Then we finally get the introduction to Jang Ki Yong. You guys kind of get the idea why I watch this drama. It's for him. So he ends up meeting Taemin at an arcade game, and they play game with each other, and she lost, and afterwards they went to hang out at a cafe, started talking about tactics, why Taemin lost to him at a game, an arcade game. They started talking, and the next morning she wakes up with him beside her, and she finds out they slept together. So she quickly like rushes and like buying new accessories to herself, so that, you know, people don't recognize that she's wearing the same thing from yesterday. And then but like she's constantly like thinking about him and all this stuff like that. So yeah, we find out she has a one night stand with him, and she has no idea who he is. And then moving on, it leads us to Taemin getting thrown under the bus to go to this hearing, which is the same, which brings us back to the scene that happened in the beginning with her at the press conference hearing and everything with the assemblyman. So, you know, with Taemin getting forced to go into this whole hearing and everything, she kind of realized that Unicorn is kind of corrupted because of their fabricating and stuff like that. So before she goes on there, she ends up doing some research beforehand of the assemblyman that will be questioning her there, and she finds out some information about this assemblyman, and at the hearing she reveals it that he ended up using a fake email under Unicorn's search engine and stuff like that, and he got involved with a minor. With this, the assembly gets upset and stated that you just said that Unicorn stuff is fabricating. And then she tells him, like, I love this part, she tells him, sir, that is the internet. So it's pretty much hinting that, like, you know, it don't matter if we fabricate these stuff, the internet stores everything, you know. But with her, like, you know, having this hearing, she leaves out of like a rush, and this is when we get introduced to Chang Hyun, Lee Da-hae's character. She runs into Chang Hyun's car and we find out that Chang Hyun works for the competitor Borrow. They meet and for a brief seconds and then go separate ways. And then back at work, Taemin tries to avoid Kang Kyung, and then she ends up going to this meeting with the gaming department, and there she meets Park Morgan, who is Jang Ki Yong, and he is the CEO of Million Sound, something like that. She ends up meeting him and finding out that his name is Park Morgan, you know, and she tells him that to forget about their one night stand and everything like that, and he doesn't, and all stuff like that, and like she finds it's not meaningful to her, and it's a mistake, but he doesn't find it like that way. So we find out that he's actually fallen in love with her at the first sight, and he actually likes her. And then we get a scene of Ka-kyung with Taemin, and they get into an argument. But basically, it's the whole point of that. Ka-kyung was telling Taemin that she violated the rules of digging into the internet and all this stuff like that. But like, Taemin's are like, I'm going through all these difficult times, and don't you remember when we used to be together, working up all night late together, and you're my sunbae, but you end up betraying me, and so Taemin has a difficult time at Unicorn, and she ends up meeting with the CEO of Borrow, and Borrow tries to recruit her, and with all the stuff that's going on with her being thrown under the bus and everything like that, she decides to quit at Unicorn and joins Borrow. So when Taemin quits, she is real upset. She releases a post on the company bulletin board with the code of ethics for web portals written by Kang Kyung, and then she leaves Unicorn and goes to work for Borrow. She ends up taking Choi Bong-ki. He was a new hire there at Unicorn, and she ended up taking the barista Arang with her, and they all went to Unicorn, and she ends up working with Chang Hyun. And like this upsets like Kang Kyung so much, she comes and like slap Taemin about it, that why did you do that before you leave and all stuff like that, and in doing so, like, Chang Hyun stops her and calls her sunbae. So we get like the idea like, oh, these three women, they know each other, they have something ties up, they know each other. They're extremely competitive women. So that ends it for us for the first two episodes. With we end up with Ka-kyung telling Taemin to be a spy for Unicorn, and while she works under Borrow to spy for them. So we don't know what she has made the decision of yet, because I have not watched episode 3 and 4. But that was the first two episode recaps of it, and it's basically a lot of women power, and we focus a lot on Taemin's character and the people revolving around her and all this stuff like that. Like, we get to see Ga-kyung's character. She's really weak. She's a very weak person under control of her mother-in-law. She is a puppet to them. That's why she betrays people and all stuff like that. While Chang Hyun is a different person. She's like woman power and everything. Like, she will beat up guys if they touch her and all stuff like that. So she's a total opposite. And like Taemin, she's super competitive and righteous person and everything like that. So it's basically these three women who works in like companies that revolve or compete against each other, and then we get to see their side, where there's how they work and all this stuff like that. So the first two episodes was very interesting. I'll be very honest, I actually like watching these type of movies where it's women powers and stuff like that, and all this stuff like that. It's actually really good, and to see how it is, and I like it where they're not focusing on just one character. They actually have three different type of women playing different characters of how they work through this industry, these companies, things they account and all this stuff like that. So it's really interesting, and we get a little, obviously they throw a little side love story of Park Morgan on the side, and pretty much I don't know what he's involved with and how his character is gonna help out with Pei Taemin, but apparently he's successful and he's like gifted and he's good, so he's probably gonna do something. He's probably gonna benefit her somehow or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, that is it for the first two episodes. I like it. I'm gonna continue watching, but I'm gonna let it sit for a bit because there's a lot going on and it's focused on these three ladies. So we do get like some flashes back and all this stuff like that of their past and all these things like that. So I actually want to focus on it for a little bit before I actually dive in and watch all of it. So when it do come to an end, I will review with you guys from episode 3 to the ending to see how it turns out and how this drama turns out. I think it's a total of 16 episodes and it airs on Wednesday and Thursday. So as of right now, I've only seen the first 2 episodes and I will continue watching it and I will recap with you guys once it comes to an end. But yes, that is it for today and I will see you guys next time.